Recording in progress.
I'd call to order the meeting of the Board of Retirement for Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. Pledge of Allegiance. Aline, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item 3, the 2449 procedure.
We don't have anybody today. Thank you, Chair Robbins. This meeting is being conducted as a virtual and in-person meeting. I will do a roll call of the trustees to confirm attendance. Ms. Ginsburg? Here. Mr. Raza?
Present.
Ms. Langton? Here. Mr. Rue? Ms. Fessler?
Here.
Mr. Oakham? Mr. Green?
Present.
Mr. Kehoe?
Present.
Mr. Robbins? Mr. Harris?
Present.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Staff participating in the meeting include the following: Acting CEO Louis Lugo, AEOs JJ Popovich and Laura Guglielmo, Chief Counsel Stephen Rice. Staff participating also include Frank Boyd, Ted Granger, Tamara Caldwell, Allison Barrett, Barry Liu, Louis Gittins, and Shanita Peterson. We also have Craig Blythe from Milliman on site. Trustees, please use your raise your hand option to be placed in the queue. At this time, we ask all meeting participants to mute their mic until you're ready to speak. And now we may proceed with the agenda.
Thank you very much. Item 4, approval of the minutes of the meeting of September 3rd. I need a motion.
Motion. Second.
Cole?
Okay. Ms. Ginsburg? Yes. Mr. Raza?
Aye.
Ms. Langton? Yes. Ms. Fessler?
Aye.
Mr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Robbins?
I'm an abstention.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Public comment. We do not have any requests from the public to address the board today. Executive update, item A, LACERA All-Stars, JJ.
Thank you very much, Chair Robbins. Each month, we take a moment to recognize the LACERA staff who have been nominated by their fellow staff members for going above and beyond the call of duty, for helping members or each other. And so this month, we recognize the folks you see on the screen: Larissa Fratkin, Lisa Giovanna, Vakchi Mazrajan, Linda Elfara. And for our rideshare winner, we have Anna Ronquillo, and our web launcher was Tatiana Bayer. And Tivache, I'm sorry, I always mispronounce his name, so I apologize. Thank you very much for everything you guys do.
Item B, member spotlight.
Thank you very much. So the member spotlight is a way for LACERA to recognize the public servants who serve the constituents of LA County, and to remind us an opportunity for us to reflect on what we do and why we do it as we serve our members and empower them to enjoy a healthy and secure retirement. And so this month, we recognize Stephanie Zumbo, who is a court reporter at the Compton Courthouse. She has retired after 30 years of service. She has worked in a number of the courts while she was there. Her proudest accomplishment is her growth as a court reporter, and she credits her parents and her husband as her greatest heroes. Her husband is a firefighter, and she really is inspired by his willingness to sacrifice, as we are for all of our safety members. So Stephanie plans, they bought an electric truck and they plan a road trip to Texas. And then most fun part of that, I think, is attending all the baseball games along the way. Hopefully a couple of those will be the LA Dodgers. So thank you, Stephanie, for everything that you do.
Item C, CEO's report, Louis.
Yes, good morning, Trustee Robbins. Good morning, trustees. Happy start of the fall season. Few updates on the CEO report. As you'll see, we have a new look to the CEO report. I want to thank Bonnie Nolly. She did an excellent job in putting the report together and organizing the information as well as the team. And then in the OOC, you'll see the strategic planning and operations briefing also have a makeover. So safety member elections. The Board of Supervisors will ratify the safety elections October 21st. Preliminary results have been communicated. We will formally provide that next month in our BOR update in November. So I want to provide some updates in terms of the election turnout. So we had a total voter turnout of about 17%, 17.36%, a little over 2,100 individuals out of 12,136 electorate. That's the lowest turnout we've had in the last 4 elections. Certainly something that we'll look at with the Board of Supervisors and us internally, and making sure that we have a good collaboration as it relates to voter turnout. But again, want to congratulate the candidates, and formally that will be announced hopefully by the end of this month. There's a couple of ad hoc committees of the board. Want to highlight the first being with the ACRE committee. The ACRE committee had a meeting in August to present or to formulate an ad hoc committee for the chief audit executive recruitment. And I know that puts Richard on notice, but I want to certainly we'll have time to celebrate Richard's tenure with LACERA as he looks to retire towards the early part of 2026. But the Debbie Martin, the chair of the ACRE committee, has put together a committee of both boards that will be working collaboratively with HR and the committee consultant on working through recruitment efforts for the CAE over the coming months. So more information will follow with respect to that process. Also, the committee, there has been a committee that's been put together for the Fiduciary Council RFP, and I think that committee has been established of both boards, so that work will be underway soon as well. We sent an email earlier to all trustees in terms of organizational safety at LACERA. We had a couple of incidents, and that had us look at just our vulnerability and our just security posture within the 300 North Lake building. And there's a couple of things that we're working on, our Administrative Services Division in collaboration with the Office of the Building. One of the things that we have done in the last month is we now have a permanent security guard station in our Member Service Center. And if you have time, certainly stop by and say hi. Individual's name is Mads. I have to make sure I get the correct enunciation. And there's other things that we're working on in terms of the security of the first floor and the corresponding floors in the building. So we're going to continuously assess that and provide an update, especially since we're looking at transitioning the boardroom to the first floor as well. So over the next months to year, we'll have some updates as it relates to our security posture in the building. We talked about the annual LACERA Summit. We had our summit a couple of weeks ago already. It was an absolute success. We had over 400, almost 450 of our team members get together. It was, one word I can say is definitely energizing, the collaboration, the spirit of the team. And we talked about the theme of values and action. And it was really, truly a springboard in terms of what we're focusing on in terms of building a culture at LACERA that the team could be proud of. So appreciate all the volunteers, the PEP team who organized the event. And we had 6 brave souls on the team that provided their own specific testimonies on our values and what it means to them, their job, both professionally as well as personally. So I thank everyone involved in making that event a success, and also appreciate some of the trustees that attended as well. We talked a little bit this morning about the IBL insurance renewal cycle that's underway. Appreciate your comments, Mr. Moore, Trustee Moore, I should say, as it relates to just our population. I know that's one of the conversations we have with all the carriers as it relates to claims experience, and more importantly, educating our population as it relates to their how they go about their medical needs and services. Oftentimes, when you have a medical emergency or a medical issue, it tends to be, I'm going to go to the ER, but there's other things you can do. You can call a nurse online. You can call, go to, as Siegel mentioned, you can go to urgent care. There's a lot of different ambulatory options available to our members. And that's something that we definitely want to make sure that we educate both on the carrier side, but also I know the healthcare systems do a ton of education on their patient population as well. And then if we go to the next slide, please. This is going to be one of the general operational slides that we'll highlight as part of the CEO report. It's our HR snapshot. One of the key metrics in any HR, for any organizations as it relates to HR, is vacancy rate. Our vacancy rate It gives us an opportunity to assess organizational agility, our workforce planning, and also our talent acquisition. Right now, it stands at 17%. You don't see a goal attached to this. The Society of Human Resource Management, which is the largest global HR association, doesn't have a specific goal outlined for vacancy rate. They have just a general barometer. They want organizations to really focus on their respective industry, their benchmarking as it relates to this arbitrary organizational goal. For us, it's really directionally making sure that we're making progress on lowering that number. SHRM, their range is usually, they say, between a 5 to 7% vacancy rate. Tends to be a healthy vacancy rate for an organization. We will continue to assess that. The HR team, the executive office, in terms of what that means for us at LACERA. Our goal, again, directionally, is to continue to fill critical positions. And one of the charges we have for all of our managers when we do have a vacancy is not to automatically backfill. We want to assess the classification, want to make sure that the vacancy that we have addresses our future needs. So there's assessment being done in terms of the positions and making sure those are the right positions for us moving forward before we automatically look to backfill a position. So those are the type of assessments we're going through. But wanted to make sure you'll probably see some changes to this, but this will definitely be one of the highlights that we're going to provide the board moving forward. And then lastly, just a miscellaneous announcement. I know it was shared with, this is our additions to the team, updates in terms of our recruitments, but also the additions to our team, both promotional and new hires. So I want to congratulate all the new team members over the last month that have made their transition to their new roles. So just want to round of applause for that group. And then lastly, we shared this via our social media channels, but I want to congratulate John Grable on being selected as a member of the Chartered Financial Analysts Institute Inclusion Committee. It's a very, the CFA is a global organizational committee and very respected, and the fact that we have one of our own, Mr. Grable, and participating in an area that's obviously core to us in terms of our values. Inclusivity and inclusion is definitely an asset, I know, for him personally, but obviously for us organizationally in terms of continuing to get our name recognition out there, far and wide outside of just the walls of LACERA. So with that, Chair Robbins, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Lewis? Not seeing any. Thank you, Lewis. My compliments to Bonnie. That report is getting longer every month and there's more and more information. So run through. Item 8, consent agenda, items A through D. I need a motion.
I'll move.
Go ahead, we'll go back to second.
Ms. Ginsburg,
Yes.
Mr. Razzo,
Aye.
Ms. Langton. Yes. Ms. Fessler,
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Aye.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Robbins.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We'll go back to item 7, the consent agenda, disability cases. First group is Sheriff's Department cases 733 through 745. Need a motion.
I'll move it with a brief comment.
Second.
Just thank you, staff, for getting those applications through really quickly. Really appreciate it.
Okay, let me start. Ms. Ginsburg. Yes. Mr. Razzo,
Aye.
Ms. Langton. Yes. Ms. Fessler,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Moore,
Aye.
Mr. Robbins.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Next group are fire cases 1000C through 1999B. Need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Ms. Ginsburg,
Yes.
Mr. Razzo,
Aye.
Ms. Langton. Aye. Ms. Fessler,
Aye.
Mr. Mr. Green.
Aye.
Mr. Moore
Aye.
and Mr. Robbins.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
And the next group is general members 2000D is in David through 2999C.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Ginsburg,
Yes.
Mr. Razzo,
Aye.
Ms. Langton. Aye. Ms. Fessler,
Aye.
Mr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Moore,
Aye.
Mr. Robbins.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
And the last case is for an NSCD 4518. Need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Langton. Aye. Mr. Razzo,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg,
Yes.
Fessler,
Aye.
Mr. Green, Mr.
Isn't that sheriff?
Duran Mark.
Aye.
Was it a sheriff? Let me check. It is? Okay, sorry. Mr. Kehoe?
Aye.
And Mr. Robbins.
Item 9, anything excluded from the, nothing excluded. We're now on to item 10, non-consent items. 10A, 2026 Starcola Program Award.
Good morning, Chair Robbins and Board of Retirement Trustees. My name is Ted Granger. I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at LACERA. Joining me today is Craig Glide. He's a Principal and Consulting Actuary from Milliman. I'd like to thank Dina from my team for driving the slides today. There's a recommendation before the board that the board determine whether or not to award the Starcola for program year 2026. And if the benefit is approved, determine whether the Starcola benefits will be on an ad hoc basis at a cost of $832,000 for a one-year addition to retirement allowances, or if the benefit is approved, to determine that the Starcola benefit will be on a permanent basis at a cost of $8.824 million for a lifetime addition to retirement allowances. So there's two different options or two different methods. So last month, our presentation focused on eligibility and cost. This month, obviously, we're asking the board to make a decision on the award. Today's presentation will focus a little bit on the methods, and we'll also talk about the Star Reserve. So with that, if we could go to slide 4, please. Slide 5. So I'll cover about 4 or 5 slides here. These are a repeat from last time. And then Craig is going to talk a little bit about the Star Reserve, and he has some projections for us to review. So this is the eligibility slide. Again, it was presented last month. We have the number of retirees, the years that they retired. We have their current Starcola accumulation account balance. And then in the middle chart, or the middle column there, there is the Starcola award, or the percentage that would be awarded should the board decide to do that. I'll go a little bit quickly. Next slide, please. On this slide, we have the Starcola cost and count. Again, I mentioned the cost of the 2 different methods of awarding the Starcola, and then the number of retirees that would be impacted. And that estimate is based on the June 30, 2024 valuation. There could be some changes between that number and now very minor changes. If, for example, a retiree passed away, obviously, we would have to determine whether there's an eligible beneficiary for that. And next slide, please. Okay, this slide, I'm going to pause here and kind of go through the differences since we're talking about the method today. On the left-hand side, we have the ad hoc Starcola. On the right-hand side, we have the permanent Starcola. So in terms of the ad hoc, it would be a temporary benefit. It would be for a calendar year. On the right-hand side, in terms of permanent, it would be for a lifetime. It adds to the member's base benefit amount. The ad hoc Starcola is not included in the statutory COLA calculation. So systems would have to take that amount of the Starcola out when it's on an ad hoc basis, when they're calculating the statutory COLA in April. However, on the permanent side, the Starcola becomes part of the member's base. So there's a slight difference there in the calculation. Because the ad hoc is temporary, it again is only for that calendar year. The COLA accumulation account balance is not reduced under the ad hoc method. We keep those balances in there. That, for example, that 21.4 balance that I showed you on the prior slide, it would retain that balance. That extra 1.4 would stay in there, and that would become eligible for the next cycle potentially. On the right-hand side, the permanent basis, again, that method, we reduce those accumulation balances back down to 20% under that method. The ad hoc is required to be approved by the Board of Retirement each year. We would come back to the board anyway to we look at we'd look at the accumulation balances, and we would still come back to the board and figure out what we need to do for the next cycle. There could be a change in that balance depending on what happens with CPI. So again, the math starts to get a little bit complicated, but we would come back to the board next year and figure out where those balances are and what we would want to do depending upon CPI for the calendar year that we're in right now. For the permanent Star COLA, again, it doesn't need to be reapproved. It's permanent, becomes part of the member's base salary. And finally, I want to clarify this because there was one error in a slide from last month, but the bottom line is that the Star COLA benefits are paid from the Star Reserve, regardless of the method. There's an accounting treatment that we do, that my team does. For ad hoc, we pay the benefits directly out of the Star Reserve. On the permanent side, we make a transfer to the employer reserve, so it looks just like a normal retirement benefit. So it's just a difference in accounting treatment. The bottom line is the benefits are paid out of the Star Reserve. That's why we have the Star Reserve. And then finally, one note that I didn't put on this slide that I'd like to mention is that the board has historically since 2001 awarded the Star COLA on a permanent basis. And so if the board chooses to award today on an ad hoc basis, we would have to do some systems programming on the back end. I've alerted, I had a sort of a panic attack about 2 weeks ago, and I said, I don't think we've done ad hoc in a long time, and we haven't. And so I talked to our systems team, and they assured me, and I talked to Kathy, they assured me that the programming can be done. It's not an issue. It's just that we would have to take that step. Normally, the board awards it on a permanent basis. The program is already set up for that. So there's just a difference in what we have to do from a staff perspective. So just wanted to footnote that. And finally, in terms of my comments, we go to the next slide. This is the Star Reserve balance. And we showed this slide last month. There's about $607 million in the account. I showed the two amounts there on the gold bars. And this is sort of the prelude and transition into Craig's comments. He'll be talking a little bit about the projections. So with that, if maybe we could go to slide 10, please, Dina, and I'll let Craig kick it off.
Okay, thank you, Ted. Good morning. So we're back with the actuaries and projections. So in July, and I came down here and we presented some projections to you on the depletion scenarios for the Star Reserve. And so we're back today to revisit those scenarios, and we have added some more. So specifically, the last time we showed you these scenarios, we had a scenario just with what we called the baseline CPI assumption, which was a 2.75% every year CPI assumption, which is the same as the valuation assumption. We then had a high inflation scenario that had inflation being at 4% for the first 3 years and then reverting to 2.75 long term. So we have added a lower inflation scenario this time that shows that after a couple of years, if inflation was to revert down to say a 2% level, which is right in line with the statutory COLA for these affected members in plans B, C, and D, what would the projections look like at that point? For each of the scenarios, we also added an additional chart that I'll talk about in just a second, that shows the actual projected transfers that would come out rather than just showing the other charts that showed the depletion of the reserve. This one shows the actual amounts that are coming out. So just a different perspective, different way of looking at it. It's really kind of an inverse projection chart. But we can move on one slide, please. So this is the baseline scenario. We're just assuming if there was a 2.75% CPI every year. What you're seeing on the chart here is the bars represent the amount of transfers that would be made out of the Star Reserve each year. The dark blue bars are if ad hoc Star is awarded, the light blue bars if permanent Star is awarded, and the line is reflecting the number of members that will benefit from that Star over time. So you can see here that for the first 10 years or so, the transfers out of the reserve are I mean, we're currently, the permanent amount, as Ted mentioned, is about 8.8 million. The ad hoc is about 800,000. So those amounts stay a little bit roughly stable over those first 10 years or so, a little bit of movement, but then there's a spike in 2035. And the reason for that spike in 2035 is that there's just a big group of retirees that would become eligible for star reserves at that time. The group of retirees that retired between 2006 and 2018, they all become eligible at the same time. So we'd get a big spike there. The one thing I'd like to point out on this one, and if you can ignore the last 3 dark blue bars for a second. So looking at the period through 2040, so that's when the light blue bars stop. And that's because that's when in this scenario, the star reserve would be projected to deplete. And so there'd be no more reserve at that point. Now, up until that point, the actual star benefits that would be paid are essentially those dark blue bars. They are the same as the ad hoc. The star benefits that are paid are the same under both scenarios. Effectively, what's happening, the reason for the higher bars than the light blue bars is because there's some pre-funding of those longer term benefits for the people that are getting the award. So any awards that's given through that time, those people will receive those for their lifetime. And so that extra bar represents those future benefits that are being paid. But the actual amount of star benefits that will be paid through that period is essentially the same as the dark blue bars that you see there. Next slide, please. So this is just the same scenario, just showing now the depletion of the reserve. So the dark blue bars are the ad hoc basis. The light blue line is the permanent basis. I mean, as you, the reserve, as you see, over time, it is under both scenarios is projected to deplete. And it does pick up, the rate of depletion does pick up in that 2035 sort of range when we get that spike in the payouts that we looked at on the last chart. And under both these scenarios, the reserve is projected to deplete. It's in about 2040 under the permanent COLA award, and about 2044 under the ad hoc basis. So next slide, please. So now we're looking at the higher inflation scenario environment. So what we're seeing here is that we're assuming inflation at 4% for the first 3 years of the projection, and then reverting to 2.75 thereafter. Inflation this year is, I mean, year to date, calendar year to date, sorry, this year is running over 3% so far. So, I mean, we're assuming a 4% year to date for this year. Seems kind of in about the ballpark right now. Of course, things can change. But the big difference here, the picture really looks the same. All you really see is the bars of really the size of the bars and the positioning of the bars, they've moved to the left. Because if we've got higher CPI, we're going to be paying out higher star COLA benefits. There's going to be higher transfers out of the reserves. And so all these payments shift earlier. And the reserve would be projected to deplete faster. But other than that, the narrative is really exactly the same as I described just in the prior scenario. Go to the next slide, please. Again, looking at the depletion of the reserve, same picture that we saw under the scenario number 1, just everything happens faster because we've got that higher CPI, there's higher star benefits, there's more money being paid out of the star reserve earlier. Next slide, please. So this is the new scenario, and so this is the low inflation, what I'll call the low inflation scenario. In this one, we're assuming 2.75 inflation for those first 3 years, and then 2% per year thereafter. So if the Fed was to manage to pull down inflation over those years, then this would, towards their target, this could be a scenario that we might see then. One thing I'll note on this one is the scale on this chart. I like to keep all my charts with the same scale so that they're all very consistent, but this one, that wasn't possible. So the axis on this one only goes to 10 million at the top there. The prior charts, that goes to 140 million. So even though the height of these bars is high, the numbers are significantly smaller than what we've looked at on the prior scenarios. But if I kept 140 million here, you just wouldn't see any detail here. But effectively, what happens here is that in these first few years, we're paying some star COLAs. We're kind of working through some of this, these COLA banks that are currently above 20%. People are getting star COLAs right now. If inflation stays at 2.75, that will continue for the next few years as those additional benefits are made. So the permanent star transfers are higher in those first few years. But what you see is in about 2029, Now the permanent stars, they've actually established everybody back to their 80% of purchasing power level. And so their banks are at 20%. And so, and inflation's running at 2%. The statutory COLA award would be 2% for these people. So there would be no addition or subtraction to COLA banks for those people at that point. And so there'd be no star awards for them at that point. Now, those people would still be receiving some star benefits for what had already been awarded to them in these first few years. So their benefits would actually follow more that dark blue bars in that scenario, but there would be no future transfers needed out of the star for those benefits. And then the dark blue bars just show that on the ad hoc basis, because those people are still below 80% as far as their guaranteed benefit level, because they've not had those permanent awards. And so they'd keep receiving those ad hoc benefits to top them up to the 80% level over time. But the benefits that people are receiving through the star are effectively the same. This is really just the timing of when those reserves have happened. And next slide, please. I think, oh, yep, this is my last slide here, just showing the reserve projection under this low inflation scenario. The real takeaway here is there's not a lot to see on this one. Under the lower inflation scenario, there's not very, the transfers are relatively small. And so the star reserve would be projected to basically stay kind of consistent at around that $600 million level, just a little bit, maybe 550 million, a little bit below that. So the real takeaway here is just that, I mean, these results are very sensitive on just what actual CPI is, which of course we have no control over. But there is a lot of variability just depending on what actually happens with CPI over time and then its impact on the star reserve. And that was the end of my prepared comments. I see Trustee Kehoe has his hand up.
I'll move to adopt it
Mr.
on.
Kehoe is first up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see his hand.
Well, I was gonna make a motion and then also have a couple of comments. So my motion is to approve the award and to make it permanent.
I second it.
Thank you. And then comments are twofold. One, we continue to retain the ability to make ad hoc adjustments going forward. So as we get closer, if these scenarios do pan out, in 2030, we could say, okay, we want to do an ad hoc now versus a permanent. So we do retain that ability. And the reality is that all of these scenarios look terrible because we cannot apply investment returns to this account, which is the real problem. If we could apply investment returns to this account, we would not be looking at charts like that. So I continue to highlight that we need to bring this back to the board. We need to have discussions, and we need to look at ways to work collaboratively with the plan sponsor on being able to make this work properly. All that being said, I stand by the motion.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you. I agree, absolutely. This is a great program. It keeps us up with the Joneses. The current funding policy, I had a question specific to that, but yeah, the fact that investment return, this is the one thing that's limited from increasing in that, though it is included in our big pot of money that's making investment return. It's kind of like it's watering your neighbor's lawn, but not getting to play on it, right? So I agree with what Mr. Kehoe said, somehow adjusting that funding policy. I do have a question on that funding policy because this thing built up to over $1 billion with the excess earnings. Is that mechanism still in place? And if so, is it happening? Because it seems like it's hit a plateau. And
Do you want me to take that? So I think the $1 billion that was when it was initially established in the late 1990s. And then just because it's had no interest crediting since that time, there has been deductions over time to it as the benefits have been paid. And so that's why it's moved down to its current level around the 600 million. So it's just that there's nothing new going into it. It's only money coming out of it. So it would just continue to go down in its current.
I understand. Thank you for addressing that, but I understand that. I'm saying the original funding policy was
the way that got built up to that level was through excess earnings.
Yes.
So we don't have any excess earnings that are feeding it. And so not only were we not having that contribute, but we're also not getting an investment return earnings adding to it also. So again, to Mr. Kehoe's point, I think this is definitely something we need to address because this is a great program. And it keeps us up with because, codified, we're capped at 2 and 3 and the 3 is going away at some point. It's going to be at 2. And even then it might be even less than that in the absence of the STAR program. So we could see, COLA increases of 0.75%. I mean, I don't know, Ted, does it round up to the nearest tenth, but not even getting a full percent hypothetically, right? With the
Inflation
absence
was
of
low,
the
yeah.
STAR. Yeah. So that, that's obviously, we understand this is a huge benefit for all of our members. So thank you. Ted, do you have anything to add on it?
I would just say that the funding policy does talk about the funding target at 100%. And then it does mention the excess earnings beyond that. I think we would probably have to have some conversations with the county in terms of those excess earnings, which is what was done back in the 90s when that particular policy was established. That was an agreement with the county. So
It's still in place, but they're not doing it then.
it would become effective if we met our funding target. If we exceeded the 100% funded ratio, then we would, what I'm saying is we would have to talk to the county about what that means in terms of
Re-implementing it.
excess earnings.
But Occam's razor, right, is just the simplest solution is using investment return. This thing is part of the kitty making money for the fund and getting some of that back to fund it a little bit.
There would be an impact if it was to get interest crediting, it would have an impact on the other funding of LACERA. So it wouldn't just be a sort of a free lunch it would help this issue, but it would raise costs elsewhere in the valuation.
Right,
So-
of
so
course,
yeah.
but spread the butter on all parts of the toast, right? I mean, we're gonna, right? So I mean, if this is a great program and there's value in it and it serves a really good purpose, then I think it's good, trickling off a little bit of that too. So anyway, I agree with Mr. Kehoe. I think it's crucial.
And through the chair, Trustee Kehoe and the board want to make sure we assure all of you, we've had our first internal meeting on the STAR COLA. We're going through a legal process right now, our legal office, the executive office, investments, FASD, we're all meeting in terms of kind of our current state, opportunities, what are some of our current legal, what are we under from a legal perspective, but also how do we engage our plan sponsor, the county, in terms of opportunities moving forward. So we're working through that internally and we'll bring that back to the board. And, we understand the significance of purchasing power for our retirees and eroding their buying power. So we know this is a significant benefit for them.
Thank you. And let's take that philosophy of spreading the butter across the whole toast.
Peanut butter.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. We have a motion and a second.
Okay. Ms. Ginsburg,
Yes.
Mr. Razzo,
Aye.
Ms. Langton,
Yes.
Ms. Fessler,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Moore,
Aye.
Mr. Robbins.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, and to you guys both, I mean, every time you do this, there's always a takeaway. You guys are diligent, you're patient, and everybody here is gonna get it entirely at one point, and then you're gonna get a whole new board and have to start over. It's job security. Thank you.
Well, item 10B, ratification of outgoing reciprocal disability retirement. This is a new item on the agenda that we haven't really done in the past, but we don't really make a determination on these SCDs. They've already been made by whom they're working for now, but we have to do what we have to do. So I need a motion to approve them. And I'll second it. Staff want to add anything to this?
Okay, Ms. Ginsburg,
Yes.
Mr. Razzo,
Aye.
Ms. Langton, Ms. Fessler,
Aye.
Mr. Green.
Aye.
Mr. Moore,
Aye.
and Mr. Robbins?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We're on item 11, reports A through E. These are all information items. Unless somebody wants to discuss one of them, we will move on to item 12, items for staff review, which we don't have any. Items for future agendas, nothing at the present time. Item 14, good of the order. We'll start with Mr. Green. I'll let you.
No, beautiful day in Southern California. You know, we got some temperate weather and hope everybody took preparedness month seriously. And yeah, that's it. Looking forward to start a third quarter.
Thank you. Ms. Langton?
Thank you. In addition to attending the Health and Wellness Conference, I was able to attend the summit, which was truly also excellent. I wish our office did something like that. I loved that people spoke personally on one core value. I thought that was just extremely touching, and it helps you get to know people more and better. And I just thought it was a great event. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Razo. Mr. Moore?
Just thanks for a very efficient, quick meeting this morning.
Thank you. Ms. Ginsburg? Mr. Harris? Ms. Fessler? Mr. Kehoe?
Aye.
No. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Good of the order now. Mr. Robbins?
I just have one comment. At the Insurance Benefits Alleged Committee, I had talked to Steve and Cassandra before the meeting about getting some insight from Steve's firm regarding what they anticipate the impacts of what is going on in Washington could be on prescription drug costs for our retirees, also affects actives, as well as potential discussions regarding increases in Medicare Part B, and Part D, which from everything I'm reading right now, everything's going up. So there's a little bit of a disconnect with respect to how much people think they're going to go up, but none of these costs are going to go down given what's happening right now. So we're going to put that on the agenda for a future Insurance Benefits Alleged Committee meeting, and then we'll probably move it over here. But Steve said that there's a lot of discussion going on with his firm regarding these issues, so they're not going away. With that, let's take a 10-minute break, and then we'll do the disability retirement. We'll go to closed session.